So how have you been? What have you kind of been up to since you left the coaching world and went to get a corporate job?
Man, I've just been working and learning and just kind of wanted a different change of pace, but still keeping up with baseball, still love it, still talk to Frank probably more than I should, and just love kind of living life right now and keeping those interactions with everybody.
You're also at a lot of the games. What is it like really fully being a fan now?
It's a lot more stressful as a fan, in my opinion.
Mm.
I think I'm happy as a player. I couldn't hear the fans as much because there's so much that's set up there, and you're like, man, a guy on Saturday talking about why is Billy Amick in the lineup when he has 13 home runs. I'm just like, okay, uh, do you know baseball? But it is funny to see the difference and kind of see where everybody's minds are at and just how different it is between being in the dugout and actually being a fan.
I know Tony Vitello said after I think game 3, there's one guy left, to bat for LSU, and he said that he could hear some of the fans even saying like, it's a sweep," and you're like, "Do you not know who's in LSU's dugout? Like, what are we saying?"
Yeah, that was one of the things me and Frank talked about after the series is, I mean, that LSU team, if you look top to bottom through the lineup, through the staff, that is a talented team, and they'll have everything click hopefully sometime this season for them. But yeah, it's one of those baseball things. The game's never over till it's over. You never tell a guy that he's bad because that's when they get a hit on you, and then just all those little things. I mean, every baseball players have their rituals and their routines, and that's one of them. And the game's never over till it's over.
Oh my gosh, you want to talk about rituals? I think people who are the position that has the most rituals, is that not the pitching unit?
Yeah, there's oh my goodness. I mean, you look at Kirby, you look at Xander, you look at those guys, and I mean, I'm pretty sure Xander's routine it's ridiculous. He warms up 2 hours before. I think he goes in and takes a nap or he plays on his phone, something weird. Like it's the same routine every single time. And you even look at Kirby from the time he comes in, he squats on the mound, he looks straight back. It's all these little things, and it's just like I was the same way. Every time I pitched, I would come in, I'd stop running at the Brown, walk the rest of the way, I'd throw my same sequence of warm up pitches, I'd look at the batter's eye, and then I'd be ready to go. And if I felt like I didn't do that, I didn't feel like I was prepared.
Okay, so why is it so consistent in the routine that it ends up being something that you're kind of addicted to the ritual?
I think like you said, people, even us athletes that we've done it forever, we confuse routines with rituals,
Hmm.
and it's a way of comforting ourselves. I think when I did my ritual, did my routines, listened to my songs that I always listen to before games, for some reason I felt more prepared. I felt like I was gonna be better suited to pitch that day. Which, in the whole scheme of things, like your routines matter, like how you stretch and all that. The little rituals don't. It's that's why baseball is 90% mental, and it's one of those things that help with your mentals during the game.
Okay, so was there ever a game that you can remember where you're going through your routine or your ritual, but it felt off and you maybe had to switch it up, like, and that maybe led to the game? Like, has there been a time like that?
Yeah, there's been a couple. I was lucky enough I didn't pitch this game, but as a redshirt freshman playing in Baton Rouge, I'm rooming with a guy named Will Neely, and it's a later game that day. I'm like, hey, it's like I'm gonna take a nap. Wake me up. The bus leaves this time. Wake me up like an hour before. Well, I go to sleep. I wake up and it's 15 minutes before the bus leaves,
Oh
and he's
no.
over in the bed right next to it. And I just remember throwing my clothes on. We're the last two on the bus. We get to the stadium, and I just remember I threw a bullpen that day during the game because I was going to go in, and it ended up not going in. Did
Mm.
not hit the catcher's mitt one time, and it was one of those things where I was just so rushed throughout the day, where I was like, I was fortunate that day I didn't pitch, but it's like everything was messed up, everything was out of sync, and I think it was just because I stressed myself out so much.
Why is that maybe such a comfort for you guys where not necessarily it's a crutch, but everything else is off if that's not right?
It's how we've been brought up. I think baseball is the most ritualistic sport, just from when you watch how people walk to the plate to how it's just the culture of it,
Hmm.
and that's just how it's perceived, and that's how we grew up watching. I mean, you watch all these hitters come up, they draw the cross, they do their
Yeah.
swings. I mean, you watch Pete Durkay do it for 5 years. He's one of those things where we're trying to emulate what he does to because he had the best one. He had one of the best ones I've ever seen, and
What was his?
his was, oh my goodness. He'd come up to the plate, draw his cross. He'd hop down the first base line, take a big swing, come back, fix his batting gloves, and get in. It's to the point where he'd done it so many times, we
Yeah.
could watch it, and he's probably going to watch this and be like, well, it wasn't exactly like that, but it helped him, and it ended up helping him, in my opinion, become a better hitter and become comfortable in the box.
It's almost like when you see gymnastics when they're out on the floor doing their routine and you see the teammates kind of mimicking it with them. I feel like y'all could do that. You guys do the same routine so much.
hmm Oh my goodness, yeah, and it's one of those things like we love it. It's like the Sammy Sosa swing and
hmm
trying to throw like other people do. It's one of the things. It's you idolize people and you kind of want to be like that, and then that's how these rituals and routines develop.
You were here when Xander was a freshman. When you can think back to a few years ago when he was that freshman self, what did you see in him that makes sense that he's a Sunday starter now?
It's something about goofy pitchers. Like
Mm.
he is, again, when you're kind of goofy and corny in a way, and all love for Xander, but you're comfortable with yourself, and that's kind of the biggest thing with him is, he's comfortable with who he is, and guys play hard behind him because he is who he is, and people love him, and people kind of admire that he goes out and every single day gives his all, and that's kind of what has made him successful. Is he has a great work ethic, but at the same time, he um, he is who he is. It's no fakeness up there.
How surprising or encouraging is it to see that Xander Seacrest is getting a Sunday start?
If you told me as a freshman and now, I would have been a little skeptical, but watching him grow and watching him pitch in midweeks and seeing the success he had and watching that the guy doesn't care if you're batting 0 in a conference that's not the SEC or you're batting 500 in the SEC. He knows who he is and he knows his abilities. So like I said, as a freshman, maybe not, but after seeing his growth and seeing what he's become and seeing how he pitches to people, it wasn't the most shocking thing in the world. I thought there was a chance coming into it this year that you'd see it. I did know there were some really talented arms in that rotation, so you thought maybe back half of the game or something, but I think it suits him well. He's in a situation right now where on Sunday he can give you 3, or he can give you 6 or 7, depending on
Yeah.
the outing, depending on the team, depending on who you have left in the bullpen. And that's what's been so fun to see is he started. You can kind of see he's starting to build that trust. Where his first outing was 3 innings. I think yesterday he went 5 2/3. The week
Yeah.
before he went 6, and that's the biggest thing with Coach Vitello is it's he you can build that trust with them, and he's going to let your leash go a little bit longer and longer and longer. And sometimes he gets burned for it. I know there's times that he probably should have pulled me in a game and I give up a home run, but I built that trust with him where it's like, okay, I'm going to count on Red more times than I'm going to hope I think he's going to give up a home run. And that's kind of what it is with Xander right now. It's like, hey, he's earning my trust. I'm going to give him that extra hitter that I might take him out on.
Another pitcher who is who he is Kirby Connell. And I think especially this season, he's leaned more into that. Obviously, early on, he's had the nickname of the stash, but now he unbuttons the top part of his jersey, and then before a couple of his pitches, he does like a squat of sorts. So tell me, who is Kirby Connell?
Kirby is just another guy who is comfortable with who he is, and little side story. The mustache. I'm taking full credit for
Oh.
it. We're sitting in the locker room one day, and I'm like, dude, you look really good with handlebar mustache. And he was like, I'll do it if you order me some mustache wax. And we ended up ordering it, and it was from there on that it kind of happened. And the rest of the personality's him. None of that was
Oh, okay.
me.
Yeah. I was like, where does it end?
but it is neat for him. It's just same thing with him as it is with Xander, and that's why they're such good friends. They are who they are. They know their limitations, but they're very good at being their best versions of themselves.
Kirby Connell, when he came in Sunday in relief, he surpassed you in appearances?
Yeah, on Friday, he surpassed me, and I was always giving him a hard time that, I mean, if he runs out there for that, I'm going to trip him, I'm going to tackle him, but man, it's awesome to see. It's one of those guys. When he was getting recruited, he was my recruit, so I took him on his visit and stuff. So from day one, we've had that bond, and for everything he's done for the university, is like the one person that I was like, yeah, he deserves it as much as anybody. He's been very successful there. He's created an image. He's created help create a baseball team that is a winning program. So to see him do it and be honored as, hey, you've been on the mound more than anybody else in this university is awesome to see.
Yeah, it's kind of following in your footsteps again, wanting to surpass you in appearances. And he's also going to be a coach at Tennessee once his playing career is done, similar to what you did a season ago. Are you on him about that at all as far as copying you?
I told him the thing is he grew into his own person afterwards, and we always still talk, and I ask him for as much advice as he asked me, and he's just a great person. So it's one of those things. We've talked a little bit about it, but he has to become his own coach, and he has great guys over there to learn from. I mean, me learning from Frank for the year I did as a coach probably made me a better human than it did as a better baseball coach, and that's what I'm excited for him to learn is just okay, what do these guys do to make them successful, and how can I do that?
Looking at the team this season, and I think it's maybe one of the bigger differences that Tennessee has this season than maybe last year or especially the year before, is their emotional maturity and their ability to play small ball. How much of that have you seen in this team this year?
I think you've seen a ton of it. I think you see some of it from the transfers from the guys that came in. I know Vitell always talked about guys like how mature Billy Amick was, AJ Causey, Robin Villanueva, but I mean I think you really see it in I mean your two best guys, Christian Moore and Blake Burke, and
Yeah.
just their approach of how they go about their at bats now. I think it's crazy to see the maturity. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times watching Burke last year, he'd pull off a pitch or something, and that guy's a better hitter than I could ever imagine being.
Yes.
But seeing how much more he's working the backside of the field and up the middle, and same with Simo. I think Simo's hit more home runs backside than he has pull side, and just when you see guys being able to do that and be able to work the full field, it just shows a bunch of maturity and plate appearances, and shows the hard work and also just the growth those guys have had.
Your team, when you played at Tennessee, obviously had success. You look at the SEC tournament when you were here, and then the runs to get to the College World Series, or at least be in the regional and super regional. How confident are you in this team with the way that they've played through 30 some odd games that they can be that team that gets back to Omaha, maybe?
The thing is, I'm actually very confident because I don't think they're their best versions of themselves yet. I think, I mean, you have Billy Amick out with appendicitis, and his first pitch back, he hits a home run.
First pitch,
First pitch, which
yeah.
is unbelievable, and you still have, in my opinion, one of your more talented guys in AJ Russell on the shelf for a couple more weeks, who's getting healthy. And talking to him, he's starting to feel the best he's had in a long time, and you start getting that's the biggest thing. You start getting this length in the bullpen. Another guy in the bullpen. You see Combs throw on Sunday and have his best outing of the year. Didn't walk anybody. Stuff looked electric, and it's like the team is as good as they play. Is in my opinion, starting to figure out things about themselves, and that's the challenge for every team. Is okay. How can I, if I'm struggling in this area, how can I better myself, or what can I do as an individual to help the team out?
Yeah, so you mentioned like the bullpen as well. So AJ came in on Sunday in a really tough spot. It's obviously kind of when you go to your relief pitchers, and I think he got what, two straight strikeouts to kind of close the inning because LSU just was not going away. What is that a credit to that Tennessee always has such a strong bullpen?
I think it's Frank and Q. That's the easy answer. Richard Jackson too, but from the time we step on campus to the time we graduate, they preach mental toughness, and there's many a times that I probably wanted to fight Q or something like that, and he'd beat me up. He's a lot stronger than me, but
Yes.
it's what they do. They do a lot of things intentionally. Where if it's making a workout harder than it should be, or maybe pushing you a little bit harder, or messing around with you in certain ways that I mean, it's not hurting my feelings, but maybe it's like it bugs me a little bit.
Sure.
Like I know Q was really big on like if I gave up a home run in a scrimmage, kind of stabbing at me for a little bit, and it's one of those things that they want you to be mentally tough, and I think that's huge about being in the bullpen because 90% of the time you're going out to not a clean situation. You're not coming out with a 10-run lead and nobody on base. A lot of time it's, hey, here's a 1-run lead and we got runners on first and second, figure it out. And that's where the mental toughness comes in. So what they've instilled in us from day one is kind of what makes that bullpen as successful as they are.
What's the next game you're going to go to?
Oh my goodness, I'd love to go up to Lexington this
Yeah.
weekend. I think it's 3 versus 4, but Man, I don't know yet. There's a lot of them. I want to get down to Hoover this year. I want to watch
Yeah.
Hoover as a fan. That's the biggest one.
Well, that'll be nice because you had quite a fun time there a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's always fun to go down there. This time I'm going to bring my golf clubs instead of
Yes.
some baseball stuff.
Yeah. Different kinds of bats and clubs. Awesome, Redmond. Well, I appreciate you coming over and joining the show with me today.
Perfect. Thank you so much.